Hey, what's up, everybody out there on Facebook? So I figured today I'm in the shop here. It's Sunday and I got nothing else to do because it's raining out and it's shitty up here in New York. So I'm gonna start cutting some ends and cleaning them up for some drive shafts. I'll show you how I do them for mine. Okay, this is not for other people's. For the most part, with other people's, what I'll do is I'll do them up as close as I can here if I feel confident, and then I ship them up to my buddy and he'll balance them. Or worst case, I'll have my buddy zero them out on a lathe and then I can weld them together and we're good to go. So here is a monster 5-ton shaft. This is the bigger one. Right there is the other one. The like standard 5-ton size. This is a big one. We're gonna run this one in the rear of the shocker truck. So the first thing you wanna do is this right here. Loosen this up. All right. See if we can do this here. Trying to do this with 2 hands. Get this thing here like this. Come on, baby. They're fine thread, so because you want to kind of save this if you can. Keeps the mud and the shit out. Alright, so get that thing off, almost. Here we go, there's about 5,000 threads. There she is. Take this bad boy. And that slides right off. Okay? So, there's what you got now. Okay? So this is the size difference on these 2 shafts. Yeah, that's basically your stock 5-ton or your standard 5-ton, and this one over here is, I don't know what that one must be, maybe the rear or the front, I don't know, but I get them, when I get them in mixes. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I do them, if you've got just some simple tools in the shop and a good eye or a tape measure. So bear with me for a second. We're going to open the vise up. Okay, so what I do is I open the vise up just enough so I can spin this bad boy on top. You know what I mean? Keep the vise open. So here's what I do. I take a screwdriver and I find the factory weld line, right? So we're gonna go through and we're gonna do all this. I'm gonna pause this for a second, I'll be right back. All right, so I got this one kind of cleaned up. This one's gonna be kind of hard to see. So you'll see this weld line right in here somewhere. So I have a really good eye. I always have, thank God. But you can use a tape measure too. You can pull common measurements off of this thing. If you got a buddy with a lathe or something like that, you got to disconnect all this stuff, take it to him. You can cut it, he'll turn this down. I'm not saying that's the only way to do it. That's probably for a street truck, absolutely. For a mud truck, like I said, if you're good and you're patient and you can use the tape measure and you can weld and you're smart, this is the stuff that can get you through and you'll be fine. I learned this a long time ago from a buddy of mine who used to build my drive shafts in my mud truck. So I'm not cheap. A lot of places aren't open on Saturdays or Sundays and you got to get shit done. So I got really good at it. So if I feel confident in them, I do them right here in the shop, and if not, I send them out to get balanced up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my grinder with a cutoff wheel, safety glasses, my earmuffs, and you're going to be careful and you're going to go around. I'm going to scribe this thing real quick and then I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So what I did was I scribed these, I scored these, okay? So like I said, I got a pretty good eye. This one's got the weights on it, so I'll try to spin this one here like this so you can see this, okay? So I got a really good eye. So I got this thing pretty close, and then what I did was I went and I did the front too while I was here. So right there we go, boom, okay? So like the way that guys used to do this was you would take this weld line right here. I mean, you can still do this, and you grind this. Just keep grinding it and grinding it down until you start seeing blue lines. Then basically what you'll see is you'll see a crack where the weld was and where the plug is on the inside. I got really good at this, so I do it this way now. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my grinder wheel and I'm gonna pop these ends off. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go down, let me see if I can do it this way. I'm gonna go down about, I don't know, maybe 1/4 of an inch or so in this cut all the way around. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come out here about 1.5 inches away, and I'm going to cut this tube right off because the plug is into here, and then I'll pick back up and we'll go from there. Alright, so now you've got them cut. So here is the bottom one I did by hand. Okay, you can see the gap difference right there is the plug. This one I did in the chop saw. I've done this a time or two, so I know pretty much exactly where that bad boy is. So now I'm going to show you how to get this ring off of here. So what I do is, right on this drive shaft, there's a keyway on all of them, okay? So I usually just find the keyway, and then for this, I'm going to leave the camera on while I cut this. Let me put my earmuffs back on. I'm going to show you how to do this right here. So from right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a slice straight up and down right here. I've already got this thing cut all the way around on the inside of the plug weld. So what I'm going to do now is this, and then I'll show you this right here. So now I'm through that right there. I might not be all the way through. Yeah, there we go, we're good enough. Okay, there we go. Oh, come on. Tight fit. Like I said, I got pretty good at this, so I get everything pretty close. Okay, I'm gonna get this bad boy, some grease. Get this one just pop right off. I'll go through and clean this up after. But there it is, okay? And you've got a brand new plug to work with. You know what I mean? Like I said, you can take some measurements. If you're really critical with this stuff, you can go off of the bottom of here to your weld. This will be so close it's not even funny. So there's the top one. So I'm going to pause you for 1 second and swap these two out in the vise. Alright, so again, I got this one sitting on the vise. I'm going to sneak right inside this gap right here so I got the room with my grinder. I'm going to cut this one the same way. See what we got here. Like I said, oh, this one's perfect. So there you go. And hang on 1 second. And there you have it. So the reason I do this is because if you cut this right here, okay, and you cut into this a little bit, that's not a big deal because you're gonna have all this brand new weld and you can clean this up and do all this stuff. So now what I'll do is I'll cut a piece of drive shaft tubing really quick, nothing that I'm going to use, and I'll show you how I mock up my lengths and everything else and how you got to line these things up, and this will be like a one-stop shop. Alright, so now what I got basically is I got this thing set up on my table for where I'm going to make my tube cut for my length. So we'll say on a truck, okay, you've got your axles down there, your transfer case is up there. You're going to take the measurement. You know what I mean? From like the side here to the side down here. Okay, we'll just say it's 48 inches. You know what I mean? So then what I'll do, actually what we'll do to make this easier is we'll just go off of whatever this is right now. So, let me find a little tape measure. So basically, I'm going to go off of this flange right here. See what I've got going on here? I've got this all laid out. So I'm going to go off of the end of this flange right here, which is to this right here. So we'll say that the drive shaft needed to be 54 inches long, okay? So what I'm gonna do is, my ends are pretty much set. I've got this, I've got the rear where it needs to be, and I've got the front where it needs to be 54 inches. Now I gotta figure out how long my tube is. You can do one of two things. You can simply go from weld joint to weld joint and just simply take a measurement, which is going to be, I mean, we'll call it 30 inches, you know what I mean? So, and then all you do is, you simply take your drive shaft tubing that you have, this is 3.5 inch 095 wall, over that one end, go down, mark it at 30 inches, put this thing together and you got a drive shaft. Now when you're putting this thing back together, here is something that is very, 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 very important. I don't disassemble this unless I have to. So I can get this thing pretty true, pretty straight, pretty good. Tack it all up and I'm good. When you put the other end together, here's where it gets tricky. This is where you're going to want to take this, okay? And basically, you're going to want to pull this apart. Bring it back in again. Okay, you're gonna wanna take this piece out. You're gonna take out your spline shaft. You're gonna wanna find that groove right there. See that groove right there? Right there. See that keyway there in the bottom? That keyway represents, see what I got there? That keyway represents this part of the drive shaft. This part of the drive shaft here, and this part of the drive shaft here. They have to be in line, okay? Or else the drive shaft will fight itself, it'll blow both things to pieces. So what I do is, when this is all said and done, I got this thing all together, I've got this tube tacked onto my piece here. I'll stand this thing straight up, plumb it up, do whatever I can do. Like I said, I'm pretty good at this. So, you know, I'm not saying this is how everybody has to do it. This is how I do it. Started doing this on Saturdays and Sundays when I had a mud bog, and you know, the next weekend didn't have any time. So, but I got really good at this. So, like I said, this is how a drive shaft shop does it too. Except they're going to balance it and spin it, pull it all apart. So, all you have to make sure is that when this thing here, when this piece right here, this, okay, the male side of this end, as it comes through the drive shaft and it goes, this keyway right here, okay, this big keyway has to match that. So give me 1 second to move some shit around here so I can show you how this is going to be. Basically, this thing's not going to cooperate. I'm going to hold this. Basically right there, that keyway right there, that big fat keyway lines up with the male end of the other end of the drive shaft. And then you just plug it all back together and you're good to go. One thing I forgot to mention is when you're setting this up, let me put this back together. You got to put this back together to get your measurement. You got to put your slip yoke back together.